Dr. Mike here today. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite tools that you can use to kind of just lay the map out of your entire life. Are you acting like a winner or are you being a loser? Today we're going to talk about a personal SWOT analysis. So, what is a SWOT analysis? A SWOT analysis, first of all, what you're going to want to do right now, instead of just sitting on your butt, you're going to want to get a piece of paper and you're going to get a pen or a pencil. If you have to ask your parents for it, get it right now because you're going to want to take notes. And if you're an adult, you're going to want to take notes too. Okay. Remember, don't hate the messenger. If you hate the message, it's because you've been living a life lower than what you want to live. Because anything I say, if it upsets you, it's because you know that you can do better. If you are okay with everything I'm saying, then you obviously are living a great life, or you just don't care. Which either way, I don't care anyways, because I don't really care what people think. That's why I live a good life. What's a SWOT analysis? SWOT analysis is the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats that we have in our life. Okay. This will lay out every aspect of your life. It's the blueprint. It's the starting grounds. Okay. If we don't know where we're starting, we don't know how to design a path to get to where we want to go. So this is a system where you want to be 100% honest with yourself. You should have a piece of paper, and you should be writing as if you're throwing this in the trash or you're going to burn it as soon as you're done. Nobody will see this piece of paper that you're writing down right now, except for you. So where is your focus? This is the problem. This is what's going to determine this. We're going to go through each one of these, and I'm going to give you ways to determine them. Where is your focus? Are you focusing out there on loser type things? Are you focusing? We talked the other day about what you focus on is what you get. And if you're focusing on all of the threats, all of the weaknesses, all of the bad things in your life, not only are you going to find them, but you're going to attract them because there's something called energy, vibration, and frequency. And if you've had any type of science, you'll understand. And that the best way for me to do it is like a radio. Give the radio example. If you're turning the radio on, you know that it has to first of all have energy, and then you have to be able to have the vibration of coming through the phone, or the radio, which would be the sound, and then the frequency would be the channel. So have you ever walked into a room, had somebody else walk in, and you just something about that person you just can't stand? Something about them. Maybe that's what you feel about me, and I really don't care. But because I'm vibrating at a different frequency. And when you feel that person, like your energies are off. Okay. Now maybe when somebody enters the room, you have a good feeling. So the energy is the same. You're upbeat. Or if you're downbeat like this, you don't want to be around an upbeat person. You want to be around downbeat people. If you're a low energy person, you don't want to be around high energy. You want to be around low. So this can work on the good and the bad either way. So when somebody walks into the room and you feel good and you're like, wow, I really like this person, but then so your energies are matching up, your vibrations are matching up, the frequency. That's whenever you really get in sync with somebody. I could call it the same thing as like love at first sight, or when you see somebody, you just know you have that feeling. It's because your frequencies are the same. If it was like in the radio channels, like say we both like to listen to the radio, but we don't like to listen to the same channel. So you could be really good friends with somebody, but have two different political views or whatever. So as long as you've got the energy and you got the vibration down, the frequency is different. So we'll talk about that more on how we're focusing on things in life. So I want you to keep those three things in mind: energy, vibration, and frequency. You'll hear more about that in a later episode. Strengths. Now here's where we have to, on your piece of paper, you want to write down the word strengths. Strengths, this SWOT came from a business perspective where we were kind of outlining our business, but we're taking it into a personal thing. So right now, I want you to really think strengths are internal. Don't think of anything outside yourself. And if you want to relate it to anything, let's relate it right now to sports. Okay. Because we can relate it to our careers, we can relate it to our relationships, or we can relate it to our health. So when we say sports, we'll kind of relate it to our health right now, health and sports, whatever, because I'm hoping to really reach a younger generation with all of my videos that I'm talking about, because I've been coaching for 30 years and I'm seeing these things in kids these days that we can change because there's great people out there. They're just they got TikTok mind and they can't focus. So I want you to be able to write this down and be serious about it or turn me off. I don't really care. But if you're going to stick with me, write down your strengths. What are you good at? Let's say your health. What are you good at? You know, physical wise, uh, can you shoot good? Can you pass good? Are you strong? You're lifting weights? Are you a runner? Like, what are some of the your strengths that you have in your life as it relates to your health? So this is really easy once you get into your career or into your education. You can start to do this. What are the strengths if you go to a job? Because if you basically my book that I wrote right here, Becoming Employable, we talk all about business and going out and getting an interview. Because when you go to an interview someday, the first thing they're going to ask you, one of the things they're going to ask you is, tell me about your strengths. Okay. They're also going to ask you to tell me about your weaknesses. We'll get that in a second. So once you got a list down, you can pause me right here and go through and write down all of your strengths. And if you want to, write 3 columns down. Write one about your health, your career slash education if you're still in school, and your relationships. Okay. Internal. Also, your weaknesses. We're not talking about making excuses because my parents or my coach or all these other outside things. We're talking about the weaknesses that you have yourself. What are some things that make you weak? Do you not show up? I mean, when I owned a business, I owned a pizza shop. I thought it was a 90% of the victory was just having these people show up on the job. If they showed up, it was like, yes, they're here. Same thing with sports, with your health. Do you even show up? If let's say there's summer camp all summer, open gyms, different things like that. Do you show up? What are your expectations? You cannot expect to be a winner and be up here if you're giving this much effort. If you're below the table, effort wise, and you have these expectations up here. Now, I'm going to talk about the disease that I'm seeing in a lot of people here momentarily about this expectation that's just completely screwed up that turns into just giving up. Okay. So in this list right here, we want to focus on our weaknesses because unless we can determine our weaknesses, we cannot fix them. So this is where you have to be 100% honest with yourself. Maybe if it's basketball, I'm terrible at layups. I'm terrible at the foul shot. This is where you want to be negative about yourself. You want to really, I hate to run. I'm completely out of shape. This counters your strength. These are the areas that that you need to work on. There is nobody out there. I don't care if you are starting out in youth sports or all the way to the professionals. There are things that you need to work on. You have weaknesses. You're renting this body. You're renting this life. It's not like you go out and you hit some shots or in soccer you shoot some goals and you're like, I've got that forever. It's not the way that it works. Okay? It's just not the way that it works. So get those weaknesses down. Those are internal. Now we're going to talk about opportunities. Opportunities are external to us. Now, opportunities, some people will tell you, I have no opportunities. Nothing ever goes my way. There's nothing out there. Colleges aren't looking at me for sports. I can't get it. Well, your opportunities are directly related to your strengths and your weaknesses. If your weaknesses are way up here in that list and your strengths are way down here, you're going to have very little opportunities. It also comes back to this frequency illusion we talked about. If you're looking at all the threats in your life, all the bad things, you're not going to see opportunities. But if you're looking for opportunities, this is what I suggest. Let's say you're a high school football player, basketball player, soccer player, whatever it is. We'll focus on basketball today. And you're like, man, I really would like to play at that next level. I want to play at a university or whatever. Well, you have to look at that opportunity and find out what are the requirements of that opportunity. Then you need to kind of go backwards and say, okay, These are the strengths that I need to have, and these are the weaknesses I need to do better on. You don't go through your whole entire career and then say, well, I'm not prepared for that opportunity. Well, that's because your weaknesses are so big and your strengths are so low. So we have to be able to look externally for those opportunities. Maybe you want to do nothing with your life and you're not looking for opportunities. I mean, I know people like that. But is that really what it is? Or are they just afraid? Are you just afraid to make a mistake? Are you afraid for people to laugh at you? Are you afraid that, that they'll say something? Let me tell you one thing, one success principle, like don't give a about anybody what they say about you, because I talked about this before about the critics. People only criticize people that they are either that make them feel bad about themselves, or think about this too. Because in the area I live, I'll see 100 acres that great great grandpa had. And then the son lives on it. Then the grandson lives on it. Then da, 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 da. It's like people try to keep you in a box because they're afraid you're going to leave. So why would they pump you up? They're going to undermine and cut you and criticize you, even if you're doing good, because mommy's afraid you're going to leave. You got to get outside of this thinking. And I know this is probably going to piss some people off, but I don't care. External threats. Think about the threats in your life. Your threats typically come based upon your weaknesses, especially with your health. Threats, heart disease, obesity, diabetes, um, these types of things that are basically, for the most part, in general terms, all, they can be fixed, they can be avoided. But these are threats to our lives if we eat McDonald's every day, we don't exercise, we believe pills and injections are going to save our lives. It's ridiculous. We got to get our heads out of this. First of all, get off of the news, listening to these people. Stop being so controlled by all these. The biggest threat is the external world telling you can't do something. You can do anything that you put your mind to. And I don't care what anybody tells you. I don't care what any coach tells you, whatever any teacher tells you, that if you say, well, I tried my best, I think that's a bunch of crap. Because if you tried your best, think right now, write this down. Name me one thing that you can honestly say that you gave 100% to and you failed, that you didn't make it. I'm guilty of this too. All the stuff I'm talking to, I'm making these videos for myself too, and I'll listen back to them. But what I'm saying is, there is not one thing that you've ever done in your life. I bet you've never put 100% into anything at all. If you're an athlete, you play high school, varsity, whatever, you could tell me honestly that you did every single thing throughout the entire year to make you successful. If you are, you're lying to yourself. Did you go out every day? I tell my soccer players, I'm a soccer coach, youth. We had a 100-day challenge. I said, for 100 days, I want you to do 1,000 touches on top of the soccer ball. Do you know how many did it? 0. Right there shows you that you're not doing whatever it takes to be able to get it. And it's unfortunate that that's how our society is. But here's the great point about it. Imagine if you have 10 people on the team, and this is everybody's mentality, and you change and you say, you know what, I'm going to do those 1,000 touches. I'm going to go to the gym and shoot 1,000 free shots every single day. Do some research on some of these great NBA players. That's what they did. When the other players went home and went drinking and had their parties and that, they stayed in the gym and they did their extra work. Jordan, Kobe Bryant, all these people. So if you're on a high school team right now and you could commit to yourself that you would go and do 1,000 free shots every single day after work or after school, after work, whatever, I guarantee you that you're going to do better. You can't, there's like a law of the universe. Whatever you put out there, we talked about this before. If you plant it, you will reap. You can't do 1,000 free shots every single day and not reap some type of benefit from it. Master the basics. Here's where I see the biggest problem. And we're going to talk about sports. We can talk about education, the sports example, mastering the basics. We talk about basketball. We talk about soccer. So I coach soccer. I'm talking about the very basics. Dribbling the basketball, touches on top of the soccer ball, little moves back and forth, basic defense, basic, all of those basic fundamental things. In America, it seems like everybody wants to just bypass all the basics and let's run this ultimate play. Let's run the picket fence. Let's run this. Let's run everything. Let's do this special moves like before they have mastered the fundamentals. Read a book on Coach Woodward. I mean, look at a lot of the older sports movies. We don't make movies like this anymore. Hoosiers, just Rudy, different things where you had to be able to master the basics. Let's take, for instance, this in a basketball game. I was just looking up high school, the average scores of games. If all you did as a team, as an individual, is mastered the layup, if you just worked layups every day and you made 8 layups every quarter, okay, you would score basically what, 64 points in a game? 32 points, but you would actually have other points as well. But just think of it. If you had 8 times 2 is 16, well, you would do 64. If you could do that, you would win every single basketball game. Every basketball game. Just by doing 8 layups in a quarter. So it all comes down to the fundamentals. I watch a game and I see them miss 8 in a game, certain teams. Like if you could just do that, it's simple. Master the basics, not only in that, in education, when you're starting out, mastering how to read, mastering how to write, mastering the letters, mastering the sounds, mastering those things before we try to go on and do things. Loser by choice, winner by design. Everything comes back to choice. But all these things I've just talked about doing the free throws, about doing touches on the ball, it all comes back to your choice. Nobody is stopping you. The coach isn't stopping you. Your parents aren't stopping you. The weather's not stopping you. I talked about walking in your house. If you're sitting in the house today and it's cold, have the basketball there and you just dribble it for an hour. Soccer ball, touches on the ball for an hour. Nobody's preventing you from doing that. I'm not telling you to kick it around the house and throw things and break stuff. Get down and give me 1,000 push-ups. Get down and give me 500 sit-ups. It's a choice. Loser by choice, winner by design. Last thing, I know the truth hurts, but regrets hurt way, way worse than the truth. Because the things I'm telling you right now, you might be like, this guy's a jerk. You might have even stronger words for me. I'm terrible. The things I'm telling you are all the truth. These aren't lies. The problem is the world lies to you. If you are 100 pounds overweight and somebody says you're good the way you are, honey. No, you're not. No, you're not. Because you're on your track to basically death. You're on your way. You are setting an example. If you're an adult, you're setting an example for your kids. Then for those kids as kids. Don't have regrets. Don't be 40 years old and you've treated your body so bad that you only have 5 more years left with your kids. Or if you're 40 something years old and you see your kids that are in school following in your footsteps. You're a smoker and you see your kids, you find out they're smoking as teenagers. You're eating out of control and you see your kids are doing the same thing and they're following the weight. You do absolutely nothing besides sit on the couch after work and your kids start playing video games and do nothing. Take a look at yourself in your life. I only do these because I care, because there's one thing I hate worse than anything is losing. I hate losing. And if you could have that mentality, you hate losing, and don't compete against anybody else besides yourself, because nothing else matters. You are only in the competition against you in life, not anybody else. Because if you can master you master the world. Because very, very few besides that top 5% actually master their mind, master their body, master their health, their relationships, their career. It's so easy that it's sitting right there, but you don't want it. You only get one shot at this life. One shot. That's it. So make sure that you do it right. And as I always say, don't give a about what anybody else says. And there are only so many tomorrows. So at that, go out and live them the best way you possibly can. Take care, guys.